Welcome back to the Intel Esports Arena in sunny Burbank, California. That's right, we're not actually in New York, but it's crazy what technology can do and what it can't do, because if you're just joining us from the other stream, that's because it went down due to the internet outages in the Brooklyn area. Unfortunately, you're stuck with us, and regardless of what you think, this is the best stream anyway, so this is where you want to be, I do believe. And with that being said, I want to introduce my good friend Jordan here.
How's it going, guys? Ladies, gentlemen, people in New York who got abandoned by the stream.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for you, the internet's just simply not going to be happening there. But over on the other stream, it is FaZe Astralis. Now, that match is actually being played without it being streamed. So there is a result to be had there at the end of it.
They're playing still.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the last time I looked at it, I believe FaZe was up, like a heavy margin. But we had to cut into this segment where it really matters. And it's going to be EnVyUs, it's going to be Na'Vi. We're going to a best of 3. One of these teams is going home, and one is moving on to the decider match. Now, Jordan, before we even get to the nitty-gritty here, which of these teams has the most firepower going into it?
I'm looking at Na'Vi as the favorite here for obvious reasons, right? The one unique thing about these matchups is you have one team, when you think of Na'Vi, you think of structure, depth of tactics, right? You think of Envy, you think kind of more explosive. They got some tactics, but it's always the 4-1 type thing. So map's a big selection here, again, just for EnVyUs, just like it was versus SK. And I think EnVyUs hopes to get on a map where you could explode. Cobble, Inferno, that kind of thing. Maybe an overpass, since Na'Vi hasn't practiced much lately.
Well, let's take a look at that EnVyUs lineup, who's got quite the tall order ahead of them in their bout here against Na'Vi. We've got Scream, XMS, Sixer, Happy, and RPK. Now, when we look at this lineup and compare it to their matchup earlier, where do these guys sit in terms of, did they come to play today or not?
Well, in the first game, you saw that if they could get some pistols and not rely on those ecos, that might help them a little bit. They looked, I don't know, not bad. I guess that first game when you're playing SK, they did what they could. I think right now their key again is to be kind of explosive versus Na'Vi, catch them on their heels a little bit. Late round, I feel like if everything is slow and you play Na'Vi's game, Envy is going to lose. So I feel like they actually do need to pick up the pace a little bit here and hopefully utilize Happy's lurk in a not so obvious way. Another
thing to note too is that was the first matchup there of the day. SK having seemingly a little more trouble there on Cobble, but obviously, as we saw on Train against Cloud9, a totally different team. Whether, albeit an approach by Cloud9, questionable, whatever you have it, SK heating up is definitely a scary thing. But looking at EnVyUs and Na'Vi, is it fair to say that EnVyUs is probably coming into this one just a little bit warmer and ready to jump into the action?
Definitely in the first game, like I said, hopefully they can get some pistols going. EnVyUs actually showed a little bit of poise coming back into the SK game, but I don't know. They need to have a strong start. I feel like if the game gets dragged out, that's Na'Vi's turf. So I think the real key here for EnVyUs is to try to jump on them early, try to get some fast plays early, get Na'Vi kind of tilted. Then if they want to play slow, maybe it's in their favor. Maybe they get some of those early rounds. So I think it's really coming down to the first 7-8 rounds of the game. And then if they could successfully get a good scoreline there, then I think EnVyUs has a chance. If it goes Na'Vi's favor early, I think it's going to stay that way.
I mean, ultimately setting a tone going into the matchup, right?
Totally.
Getting out there, getting that good footing so that you're not on the back foot, so that you're not fighting against the entire world.
Well, and this is like, as a player, I've in the past, when you're in the situation where you're playing a team that you know their T side is their bread and butter and slow, I like to start whatever they don't like, or give them whatever we shouldn't have, right? So Na'Vi likes T-side. Let's start CT. Let's give them the opportunity to play their game, but we're not going to allow them in our play. We're going to get aggressive early on CT. So if Envy does start CT, I hope first gun round they disrupt Na'Vi's default, for instance. And then that will set the kind of the scale for the rest of the half, because, right, if you're running a default guys out there, you're trying to play versus a team like Na'Vi, you can't really see openings as an individual, so getting those team aggressions early on CT for EnVyUs are going to be big, because that's how you disrupt the default. And everything Na'Vi does is establishing that default. And if Envy doesn't, I want you guys out there to pay close attention to how Na'Vi starts the half with a default, and then throughout the half develops small plays off of that and slowly kind of deteriorates their opponent's defense.
Counter-Strike is a beautiful, beautiful thing, isn't it?
It just kind of comes full circle. 4-dimensional basketball playing on a 3rd-dimensional simulation with Anders being the ruler of that universe.
As long as we acknowledge the simulation, then we have to also acknowledge this next lineup. Then we're going to take a look now as we pull it up right in front of you. Not a Spencer, Zeus, Edward, Simple, Flamey, and Seized. And we look at this lineup and that sort of all the moves they made from the roster changes to this and this. Now we see Zeus back in the fold as sort of driving the ship. Yeah, are these guys able to bring it full circle?
You know, the changes have been made. I still don't know how to pronounce most of their names in person. I just call them by the alias. But having Simple fell into
it still counts.
It still counts. No, having Simple as the op is interesting to me because in theory now they're not as reliant on traditional roles, right? They don't have the same structure that played around Guardian. Maybe they are basing their strats on Simple, maybe they aren't. But I know for one thing, Zeus ain't having none of that bullshit, right?
Yeah, he means business. This guy is all about it.
So I think whatever needs to be done, hopefully, is a new theme of their team.
But even continuing on the note of Navi, I mean, we could even touch on Simple as an opper and what he brings to the table when he's on point and how he's matured as a player.
If they could utilize Simple's strengths, that makes Navi now a contender again for the top spot in the world. Because what always made them so insane was like, look at this. Like this, if they could have more plays like this, it's not exactly this alone that's going to win tournaments, but it's Navi's prior structure is what always brought them into semifinals. But the problem was when they played teams like SK or FaZe or some of these other more explosive teams, even the Fanatics, they're running into problems where they would face plays that didn't necessarily tie into the normal textbook default. And I think Navi struggles when they face scenarios that aren't always just predictable like they planned for. So Envy needs to, like I said, get in there, create some chaotic situations, and come out on top.
Well, this is a pretty big deal for Navi as they look to pretty much defend their title here, right?
Yeah.
But they've got a long road to go still. I mean, the weekend is just getting started. And I guess that all starts right now, right?
Yeah.
So they need to show up. This is a best of 3. They lose, they go home. They win, they advance to play another best of 3. Yeah, an extremely long flight. And what could be an extremely long veto process if they don't get the maps that they want. So where do we see this one landing in terms of vetoes?
Well, I'm thinking something like, I don't know, no cash, right? No nuke. Maybe another Inferno or Cobble. Inferno, Cobble, Train. Same as kind of the SK veto to me for both these teams. They have similar vetoes.
Well, we saw in the pre-show, you know, just to not talk so much about Navi, switching the gear back to EnVyUs, and really thinking about RPK and what he could bring to the table in Inferno in terms of, well, I mean, we'll just load it up right here in front of you.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I mean, for most teams, one of the primary facets of your T-side default is banana control for obvious reasons. You want banana control, you want Halls control, so that you can teeter-totter counting the CT smokes and whatnot. So EnVyUs does that really well. But like I said, if they rely simply on counting Navi smokes and sitting back, Navi's expecting that. I think what EnVyUs needs to do are some of these style strats exactly. Pop out of the halls with a flash, explode, take Navi off guard, take the fights to them a little bit, and that's going to be their best bet, I think, on T-side Inferno, because, yeah, Navi's seen every exec they have. Zeus is a grimy leader himself in terms of the playstyle he brings to his team, so, you know, maybe now Navi's also expecting the pops to the smoke, so I think it's going to be a tough uphill battle for EnVyUs on the T-side. And if Envy does need to start CT side, they need to hit double digits for sure if they want to have a chance, because Navi could hit 11, 12.
And just right away.
Back, yeah.
You don't want to let a team like that get into a stride.
Yeah, you're going to see Envy get desperate if they go down more than 5-6 rounds early.
Well, we do have the vetoes ready to load in, and you know, this again is a best of 3. So when it comes down to the veto process here,
Navi bans Cash. It's pretty straightforward. Envy bans Mirage. So pick Train, pick Cobble.
Okay.
So that was pretty much as expected. Now I'm expecting an overpass veto after nuke. Yep, so nuke and overpass.
Okay, well, there we have it. The stage has been set,
so
Train, Cobble, Inferno.
So the 3 maps we guessed. Nowadays, it gets pretty easy, guys. If you want to know how we a lot of times guess vetoes, you can head to hltv.org and look at the stats. A lot of times it's very easy to kind of look at what people play. This makes sense to me. I'm liking Navi on Train. I'm giving EnVyUs Cobble, and then I'm going to give Navi Inferno as well for the 2-1.
But who do you really think standout players from either side? We could just start with Navi. Who's going to have the most impact across the first map?
I think generally it's pretty simple to say that Zeus is actually going to carry them.
That's it. Knee slapping, baby. Let's go.
You know, on the other side, you could scream out loud that you think XMS is going to have a good game.
Jesus.
But doesn't matter. No, I do think XMS and Scream on a lot of these maps are their big players. RPK is obviously the tank, right? But XMS, Scream, and on Navi, Zeus and Simple.
Well, 2 players that we didn't talk about, the most player, skilled people in the entire building are going to be our play-by-play standing by right now to bring you guys the action here. At our first elimination match, we've got Blue, we've got Blonders. Blonders for short.
Take it away, fellas.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, we are going to be ready to jump into this first map in just a couple of moments. It's going to be on Train, of course. Let's talk a little bit about Train. Let's talk about the map in general and just your thoughts on it. How do we think the firepower is going to play out here between these teams?
Both teams obviously have the firepower. Definitely not the deal or the separator, I think, between them. I think the main thing is that Na'Vi have more depth to their play. And I think the biggest thing holding EnVy back from the Tier 1, breaking out of the Tier 2, having consistent results is just how maybe predictable they can be and how much trouble they have in reinventing themselves when they do play against teams. Like when you watch them, you can kind of see that, like, because they 4-1 so much, for example, that, like, you know, Happy's going to be doing X, Y, or Z. But if you don't see him on the map and you see a group of 3 people, you kind of have an idea he's on the opposite side of the map, ready to lead in, or he's maybe in the back of the team, but usually not. And so that the simplicity to their play, I think, is going to be a huge problem for them.
Yeah.
Zeus is obviously just coming back to Na'Vi, but he's probably going to pick up where they left off, I assume. And the other options there are that on Train you have is really friendly to opping. And the Sixers actually been pretty good with the op, but can that compare to Simple, who is a world-class opper? You know, by far and away, going to be much better than him. And there's so many op duels that actually take place on Train, whereas on a map like Inferno, for example, you don't always see the operas go head-to-head. Sometimes it'll be a pick on B, and ideally as a CT, that opera is looking for a pick-down banana on a rifler. And on Train, you see ops at a T-Con with one like back 6 looking for a frag on T-Con and finding 3 different angles and always looking for that fight. And it just happens so much more often. Ivy as well, you always see a team jump across and bait the peak, and then an op might happen. An op duel might happen. So it's a map where you'll see them go head-to-head quite a bit. You can expect Simple to win most of those duels. We know that EnVy do like the map, so there is something to be said about that. But the depth of the playbook and the stronger opper, I think, are keys to success for Na'Vi.
Yeah, so specifically going more into the depth of the playbook here, because Train can be a very daunting map for a lot of teams. Because I mean, even like very well, no pun intended, well-trained teams in this map, they only bring a few strategies to the table, and that can often be a problem on T-side. Do you think that's going to be an issue here for Na'Vi going into this map since Zeus kind of just came back into the fold?
No, we talk about maybe because Zeus came back into the fold, they might not be as developed as they want to. Maybe he does want to change things up from where they were before. Depends how he wants to use Simple. I assume he just gives Simple a lot of freedom to pick, because on T-side it's extremely difficult to find openings, and since you never actually have vision on the opper and he comes out of spawn and decides to go Ivy or decides to go T-Con, you can't really tell him how to play best. Instead, he should know where I'm going to find the opening duel and give himself the best chance to win it. So it's much better for Zeus to say, okay, if we want to do this round pick based and we want Simple to lead, he should pick the choke point. So there's a lot of individual focus on him. And in terms of what's difficult about Train, I'd say Ivy is what's most important, just because it's like whether or not you use it, it's kind of like door on cash, where if someone's in door on cash, they literally don't have to go A, but if you keep them there, then every A player is worried about leaving. And that being said, they can also be used to start and execute. They're really close to the bomb plant zone. There could be 3 people behind them in Squeaky. And Ivy's kind of similar, except the benefit of Ivy on Train is that if you come out Ivy and you're looking out into the site, there's a bunch of spots where CTs can't stand anymore, which is a key point of it. It's like one of the only sites that has like 3 full choke points, and Ivy is actually like can be the most important on executes. And sometimes all that means is killing one person at Ivy, taking control of it and smoking it, only having one person there, but having Ivy control, which makes all those spots that CTs normally stand in unviable. And once those spots are limited, then the players that are coming out T-Con and ladder, they know they have to just look back bomb Train. They have to maybe kill somebody's sandwich, but that's kind of the breadth of their execute. Their job becomes a lot easier.
All right, folks, well, looks like it's time to jump into the matchup here. Our first map of our first best of 3 for the day here. Loser will go home already here. Will it be Na'Vi or EnVyUs? Let's find out, of course, in this best of 3 series, with EnVyUs starting off on the CT side and Na'Vi jumping onto the T side, taking very fast control of the ladder room too as they push forward there. A couple other guys outside of T-Con, so probably going to be looking at This actually could lead itself to be an inner hit too, since they have 4 players in the general area there at the backside. But we'll see if they decide to send those additional players back downstairs, as indeed that'll be the case. 3 of them, excuse me, inside of ladder room here, and the other 2 going in through T-Con. And out they're gonna go now. Scream holding back, spots it first. Not gonna be able to take too much of a contest. He sees the action happening by T-Con as well, but Flamey is gonna be able to knock him out, eliminating him. XMX next up to bat here. He's gonna end up going down, but RPK finally shows up with a trade for the EnVyUs roster. 6 are looking for 1-2, but it's just not enough. Leads it down to a 2v2. Happy still in the fight, but he's heavily injured. He's gonna have to try to lurk out, but not gonna happen. And now it's just on 6er alone in a 1v2. He's gonna be low on ammo there, so he goes for the reload early on. And now tries to sneak up to the bomb train, looking for his route to clutch this one out. Currently does not have a kit. There should be one on the ground somewhere. So he went to route over to pick that back up. He's found the first kill, looking for the second player, though. He's having a little bit of trouble locating him. He seems to think he's way back over by, like, E-Box or something like that. And yeah, you can see him looking around for the kit. He's going to get it, but has no clue that Seized has already gone inside of Z. So if he's not careful, Seized is just going to roll right out and take him down. And you can just see Seized not having to do anything about this. Hasn't had to move from his position at all. He's going to jump on this stick to defuse. Where's Seized at? Is he rolling out? Does he think he's not stuck in? And no! He's just going to full defuse. And Seized didn't realize it, so EnVyUs get away with the pistol.
Sixer had no play there. There's absolutely no way he was going to win that round. Seized had him dead to rights. Here, as you see him get back up on the top of the train, Seized peeked out of Z, saw him, knew exactly what was up. Sixer had no idea anyone was in Z, but because the bomb wasn't exactly planted for him and he crouched, he couldn't see his head, and Seized peeked out with like 1.5 seconds left. And what a travesty. Oh my gosh. That Na'Vi had that round. And they're going to be buying up behind it, actually. This is something that we do see teams doing when they get that first plant. They can put together kind of a half buy. It's to catch the other team off guard when maybe the other team is going to expect them to full save or only have armor pistol. And they put together an AK and a Galil. Problem with Train is that there's so many long angles that weaker guns suffer greatly when coming out of choke points on outer.
Simple looking for the first strike here. He's going to move himself into Ivy. The rest of the players align through the back halls, but Simple is indeed going to be able to find his first mark. That's Sixer going down early on here. Immediately we'll see another player routing over. Scream is going to be jumping into that position, but he won't be here by himself for very long. You can see that blood spat on the wall. He gets hit for about 25 HP by players in T-Con, and quickly Na'Vi are going to swarm the outer site, and they're doing a great job of taking back the control. 3 fast kills, absolutely 0 response for EnVyUs, and I'm pretty sure for RPK and Happy, they're not even going to attempt to retake. They'll just fall back, save, and let Na'Vi pick up this second round.
Whenever you have an AK, you want to use that person. If they're the only person with the AK, you want them to try to get first contact to go for a kill. If you want to rush, maybe you want to put them in third, but if it's going to be some kind of pick-based default, you want to make sure your other guys don't die so that you can recycle that gun over and over again. And here, as we see the round unfolding, finally, there's just 2 players from EnVyUs, and they're looking for exits. They do find 2, which is not so bad. Actually, a third kill as well. RPK's position is now known, but he doesn't have many options to escape from here, so Na'Vi aren't in the greatest place ever. I mean, they did just win the rounds, but they've also got to think about next round and the round following. I think probably be much more comfortable not having to deal with a rifle in a save round from Envy or influence them into doing some kind of force up. So overall, we see here Simple taking advantage of an individual play at Ivy by himself. There wasn't anything to stop him or disincentivize him from going back. SMX also getting caught off guard because they didn't expect Simple to re-aggress. And, you know, just that caused that rotate around to Ivy. And we saw that the rotate around to Ivy allowed a lot of Na'Vi's players to come out of T-Con and get a lot of ground on the site.
Well, EnVyUs do find justification to go for, at least on a few players, a full force here. Some of them decide not to do that and just upgrade their pistols, however, so it's a little bit of a split buy from EnVyUs. As they do push out of Ivy this time, but they're not going to find anything, which means they need to fall back quickly since it's just Happy currently sitting inside defending the B-bomb site. They'll get some assistance from Scream in a moment. Scream's going to be very vulnerable, though, on this round. Only has the Deagle, no armor sitting behind it, and even worse off, he just got smoked out, so has no vision to upper right now. Leaves Happy in the dark, essentially. They find RPK. Happy's able to get 1 kill on his own, however, runs out of ammo. And that is actually going to lead to him going down just a couple seconds afterwards. Flamey also finding Scream. Was looking like EnVyUs might have been able to set up to do some damage here. It's not going to be the case for much longer, as it is brought down just a Sixer. He's going to roll right in, finds a player in the open, but a little bit scared to stay in the open, though, as a nade chunks down his HP even lower. And again, Na'Vi will win it out 2-1 as they take the lead.
kept it pretty simple, went for that full B execute kind of walkout, and you think like there are a lot of options for pistol players to take advantage of like the choke points at inner, but it's also the lesser stacked site, so there's always a case for going there on anti-ecos, even though if there were a bunch of people stacked there, there's opportunities to get kills. Now, with that, they only had one death. EnVy are going to be saving once again. Ultimately, they would like to get 2 or 3 kills, but it's not going to be easy to do that, and their strategy because of that is to try to push Ivy, but they will have no enemies.
Quick push to get that outside control, and it won't be contested really at all. Well, at least until they go up to Ivy. That's where RPK is going to be able to find C's, taking him down, obviously with the rest of his teammates helping out. Happy strikes. What? Happy just comes outside and dominates with a P250. Zeus and Flamey both go down. They have no control anymore. They're going to try to mop up the remaining players here. And Simple, okay, doing some great work himself, just knocks RPK out of the air. Scream responds with a 1 pickup. Thankfully, it's planted for Simple to a certain degree here, as they're going to try to push back forward. Scream trying to dodge death, but no, he's going to move up. And with the Mach 10 on what was basically a full save run from EnVyUs, they pull off the impossible, and they're going to find a second round themselves.
Happy, obviously, coming out of Z and just getting those 2 kills, that is getting away with murder, because I know once they knew that it was Ivy, we saw the bomb get shifted. Zeus planted left side bomb train, and then when Ivy control wasn't taken, they decided to plant on the back of bomb. That allowed Happy to get this first kill. As we can see, the adjustment headshot, the plant goes down. That was super nice. I mean, it obviously shouldn't have happened. It seems like the stack made a lot of sense, and it almost got ugly here. I fully expected, actually, Simple to simply win the round by the end of it, but as things unraveled, Scream took advantage of his great aim and put together that last headshot that was necessary to assist in the defuse. Now we're in a full rifle round. Molly's into T-Con control, just doing that dance that we see so commonly, and just over the crosshair of Simple is the double peek. Very good.
Scream is going to be able to move in, however, tests his luck for a second time, and is going to find himself dead to Flamey, who holds on instead of T-Con there. Zeus moving out from the ladder finds another target down, and only leaves Sixer alive on this outer site, and obviously not with a very active presence either. RPK is going to push into the back halls there, see if he can find anything, but it's going to be a short-lived push from him. He promptly falls back, and I think is going to eventually rotate through Z. Sixer, of course, still looking to do whatever he can. Sees that smoke going across. I think he's going to try to wrap back in. He realizes he's in the cubby until that last second where he finally does take him down. Now he's being pelted, though, by Zeus through the paneling. He'll just finish off the job finally with a peek. And now only RPK stands. Looks like he might try to go for something. At the very least, might just peek in an old bomb tunnel. Try to get a kill or two. Not sure if he'll actually attempt to clutch this, but it looks like he's going in. So he's going to make a bout for it. It's not going to last very long, though. Zeus just wide swinging again and takes him down.
By the way, RPK was posturing, you wonder, like, did he plan on saving the entire time? Sixer was way farther ahead of him going up the same choke point. RPK was just kind of just walking around. But here's Flamey from T-Con getting those 2 initial trade frags, which was massive for Na'Vi, obviously. But we were seeing kind of like an aggressive default, and sometimes EnVy are kind of buying into it and trying to take control for themselves, which is a risk you run, and ultimately pays off for Na'Vi as they were waiting for it. But you know, that pretty simple stuff so far. It's just been a back and forth, haymakers on both sides, and Na'Vi kind of coming out on top, putting EnVy in a tricky position, but getting the opening kill on this round. Happy with the op, and the 3 CZs that we've known to be effective for EnVy still in play.
That's another forced round for them as they do try to keep themselves in the matchup here. Make sure the Na'Vi don't just get away with it, and so far they're doing a fantastic job of holding on. Happy finds a second kill. RPK is going to be pushed out, takes Flamey a moment to spot him, but he will take him down. Finally giving them their first kill as they do play this round very carefully, since that up presence has been something that they've had to worry about. Scream pushing up the ladder room. It's been able to take down Zeus. Happy was just inches away from firing off another shot and taking down what I believe was Flamey. Finally, the bomb will go down, but there's a 2-man flank coming in. Flamey very much is aware of it. That's not going to matter when Scream has a rifle in his hand. Goes in, gets the headshot against Flamey. Sees with a very wild spray. It's very close to taking him down, but actually he's not going to be able to get the kill against Sixer. XMS runs down a ramp, eliminates him, and EnVyUs get away with another force buy.
I don't understand. It's been back and forth. This is kind of nuts. Like it's like, again, the aggressive default from Na'Vi either answered by EnVy or Na'Vi just run away with the rounds. Like, get 3 entries right away, get on the outside site. And because it's so back and forth, the money's actually quite even. EnVy are going to be putting together a buy, but so are Na'Vi. It looks like Zeus, the first one to buy. No one else has kind of figured out what they want to spend their income on, and I think now we've got a few AKs on the board. Simple's also made room for an op, so Yep, round 7. We move out into another round. Let's see if it's going to be something similar. The op pick right away, right over the head of Happy. Very close. Definitely lined it up properly, and Happy was in that position, but that's why you gotta kind of aim for the groin, because either you hit him right above the waist or right around the waist and do 100 damage, or they crouch and you hit him in the head. With a lineup like that from that distance, very hard to judge.
Yeah. I know the exact position there, so it's not going to hit head-on this time. You'll note that Na'Vi don't actually have a whole lot of utility to play with here, basically just enough smokes to set up their take. Post-plant, though, is going to be very, very rough for Na'Vi in terms of trying to control the site. It's going to rely mainly on their gun power alone to do that. As EnVyUs starts to use their own supply of grenades here. Tries to run the timer down as far as possible, but Na'Vi are getting ready with at least one smoke being tossed out from Flamey. Looks like that was the only one, though. Or, excuse me, no, a few more getting tossed back in there a little bit late. Scream's going to move over to Ivy, looking for it as now they've seen the smokes on outer. They know something's going to be brewing soon on this site, so they are getting prepared for pressure from both sides. Scream trying to figure out which side exactly he wants to support with this, but Na'Vi being a little bit hesitant themselves on finally going out and starting this push. As they move in, those seized, he's able to find XMS. Scream goes back for the trade, but Flamey entries onto Sixer behind E-Box, taking him down. Or trying to rotate back in. Good flashbang at least buys room for Happy to go in and take down Edward. And Scream is holding at the very edge of the short lane looking for Zeus, and Zeus is just going to walk right into him. RPK with another pickup. Now it's just on Simple. A 1v3, only 20 seconds to clutch it too. He's found one player, but is unsure if he was going to re-peek or not, so goes down into the sandwich. He's not finding anything there. I was just wasting so much time getting this one kill. When the time finally comes, he misses both of his shots against players in the open, giving the round to EnVyUs.
I was going to say, this is a round that you could look at Na'Vi and you could kind of copy. This is the kind of round that it's like it goes exactly as you planned, so you could copy it kind of piece for piece as a player yourself and say, this is how we set up, this is how it smokes we throw, and they got what they wanted out of it. They got the Ivy control, C's got the first kill, and then when they got outside, however, it seemed to fall apart in the mid round, and I wonder if that's because of Zeus's calling, but they really didn't follow up with more smokes and equivocated movement from two players. Instead, they got a little lurky. Zeus walked into a headshot, and that's not something you would expect to see from Na'Vi, so that's a little bit surprising. And Envy, obviously, all they had to do was play their spots. They just capitalized off the mistakes that Na'Vi made, even though the site was kind of theirs.
Yeah, very straightforward round for EnVyUs at the end of the day. A couple trades here and there they had to work for, but that was about it. That was the only complications they dealt with. Besides that, everything went according to plan for them. It starts off the same way here as they get a nice first kill. Nade damage done against Edward 2. Scream, is he going to expect Simple in this corner? He does, but he doesn't fire the shot. So Simple is going to be able to take him down. Just runs away with the rifle, though. Has no interest on proceeding further into the site at this time.
It's kind of weird to see that. And I don't know, kind of that aggressiveness for almost no reason. Simple or Scream getting taken advantage of. Someone sneaks out the Olaf. It's a very common thing to do, and tough to clear with your gun barrel sticking out that far. But now they're just grouping for inner, and this flash from Happy might be really good.
See the timing. Oh, it's absolutely perfect. He goes in there a little bit detached, so he's going to have some trouble getting all of them, but there you go. He does it anyway. RPK shuts it down. He actually only gets 3 of them. A 4th was claimed by Sixer further back, but EnVyUs doesn't need shut down the round, and minimal damage done to them, so they're going to be able to build up their economy off rounds like that.
Man, decisiveness goes a long way in this game. You can see it's a matter of moments. If he took any longer than that, Na'Vi would have 100% just started running out lower ramp. We see, because they were at the choke point, they actually were on their way out, and that was a very well-timed flash, and you've got to go off your instinct. You feel like they're going to come out now, you've got to throw the flash now. You can't double think it. So, good round, good flash from Happy, the unsung hero of the rounds, and now Na'Vi are on a buy with it, which isn't tattered, but they don't have a ton of utility. Are set up without Ivy on an outer hit. The flash goes out, ladder kills are traded.
It's very similar in terms of the buy to the last round too, so we're going to see it. Hopefully they don't suffer from the same consequences. They do actually get themselves out more properly this time with the trades that they were able to sequence together, but it seems like they're falling back pretty quickly. You can see players going back on top. That kill from Flame, they might change it a little bit. RPK trading with seized up on top, almost getting 2 kills there. You can see the transfer was almost able to kill RPK, but now with all the distraction happening outside, it buys room for Na'Vi to swing towards the inner site and get a plant going there. So EnVyUs are going to have to quickly rotate. They still have Happy way over towards Ivy, so this is actually going to be a pretty long rotate for him, and even worse, if he goes the back hall, he's not, so you won't have to deal with that. But you could see Simple over here watching for rotation through CT. So he's going to have to change his position. They flash into the corner there. He's going to be forced back. A little bit unfortunate with that. And he jumped 2, so I'm not sure. Yeah, he did hear him. RPK is going to be able to take down Simple. And now it's just Edward sitting in the back halls. He does not have a molly to throw down, so this is not a safe position. He sees the shadow, though, so that's the easy kill. The smoke goes down, and we are going to see a full commit for the defuse from Happy, but I think Edward was able to spot him from just on the outside of it, so he takes down Happy. And finally, another round for Na'Vi will be found onto the board.
It seemed like that was another round where they're going to go outside and get a little bit lost, but they clearly made the decision to go inner nice and early. The plant came out, and the 2v2 retake is just another section of the round that you don't want to kind of compare to the rest of it. Instead, they kind of lost it there on a different kind of air of merit. But yeah, nice clutch from Edward in the 1v2, and you know, pretty easy when you see that smoke. Sometimes it's difficult because you want to like smoke the choke point they're coming out of, but if you do that, what if they go upper? And so if you hedge your bets, you smoke yourself on the bomb and hope that they miss, and sometimes that is the best idea. But in that situation, Edward was a little bit too wise. Now we move into round 10 of another buy-up from Na'Vi, somehow being able to afford this. Actually, they won the last round. What am I talking about? But don't even have that much money simply because they lost so many people. Whereas Envy are actually able to put together a buy that even has an op in it. So looking pretty bright for the future of this round, it seems.
And Happy makes the early call to rotate towards inner. It's a good thing they make that call because they're going to need that assistance. As soon as the smoke goes away, the pressure from Na'Vi should be pushing back in. Envy should be getting ready to rotate more players, and then his Scream's even pushed all the way up to Tikon, not spotting anything. RPK blinded out by the flash. He has no opportunity to pick up a kill, and Happy, despite getting a fair fight, he's also going to go down to C's. Not the greatest start for EnVyUs, and in fact, it might already be the round, as it looks like players are falling back to save, or at least position for exits.
Well, it looks like basically a mechanical failure. Pretty simple inner take, both players in the positions they wanted to be in. They weren't kind of flashed at all. They just took their duel straight up and lost them. And that's what it comes down to. You can't hold your sight, you won't win the round. So not only that, but you can lose B, but if you lose players along with it, there's no opportunity for a retake. Whereas in a 5v5 situation, you might talk about it. Here we can obviously see it's more of a frantic save than anything else. There's not an opportunity to even run away that safely. And Na'Vi knew after getting those 2 kills, this round's over and we can kind of go on the hunt. Next round, at the very least, Envy are going to be saving this off this rifle and a smoking kit. So that's going to help them out, but it actually puts them in kind of an awkward position because they don't have enough money for another full buy. And here's the execute again. RPK, I think he dodged his flash. That's kind of a weird setup just because I guess Happy was meant to watch upper, but when he heard all those players crossing and his teammate died, he had to change up a bit. Sometimes the back of spools can be nice for that, as opposed to the front, because in the back you can catch players crossing in, as well as watch upper if you absolutely need to. But that wouldn't have been able to help Happy. So potentially a flawed setup. Ultimately, I think best case scenario, they at least get a kill apiece, and they didn't even do that. So you can kind of put it to mechanics.
So it's a dead heat right now, tied 5-5, as these guys have been exchanging rounds back and forth with no clear leader even seen just yet here. A short pause as EnVyUs do take their first tactical there. Trying to figure out how exactly they wanted to play this round. And again, it's another kind of odd buy for them. Some players end up forcing out, whereas others end up with about 1.5 to 2K. So you can see the results of it there. 1 Deagle, 2 CZs, and the saved guns from the last round. Meanwhile, Na'Vi back up to full strength with full utility and everything. And since the inner hit's been working, it looks like they're just going to do it again.
Yeah. Definitely can be a curse in disguise to have an op and a rifle, because you're like, we got to protect these, even though 3 players have no utility to work with. But the ecos have been pretty good.
RPK going to take a risk on swinging out, but Edward says a quick no to that one. I'm going to expect the second player, though. Regardless, they flash him out. So 2 quick kills from Edward and seized, and pretty much the same exact situation as the last round here. These 3 are probably going to call for a save.
I did like how they used the op in the first place with that flash play. That's something an op does normally. I like that they go for IV control. That gives their teammates a lot of information and makes them a lot more comfortable playing outside positions that would have to worry about their backs. But in spite of that, it was an inner hit from Na'Vi, obviously, and there was still the opportunity to get kills, but just they kept it simple, used just as much utility as they needed to, and apart from that, kept their guns out, locked those 2 kills down. Easy win on the round, and fortunately for Envy, they invested a lot in this round, but once again, they get to put it into the next. So dying is definitely a huge factor. I think a lot of teams don't think about that quite enough, and the fact that they're able to use these guns kind of for 3 opportunities means that it's not like you're investing and then you get nothing out of it. Even if you lose the round, you still have another opportunity, and that money kind of carries over. So those 2 people have enough to buy up for their teammates. One guy might be a little bit low here. I think, yeah, Envy and RBK don't have enough to armor up and buy a rifle.
Happy should probably buy for himself, I think.
Right. There it is. Op and play looks like a pretty full buy, and it's all thanks to those saves. So overall, the eco didn't work out. Valiant effort, but they still move on to a pretty decent and healthy full buy.
Yep, and it's XMS, excuse me, not happy that ends up buying for himself, but both of them are sitting at pretty similar money. And now the flashbangs go out, and this is not good for EnVyUs. Edwards just gonna walk right up, get 2 free kills. Scream is there for the trade, but it's a small gesture right now. We have to see if this action baits anyone else out from Na'Vi into going into these backhauls, as now Sixer sits here, waiting with the op in hand. If he can get a kill, that would be great. Would put EnVyUs back into a controlled situation, but okay, Happy. It's perfect timing on his push against Zeus there. Just as the smoke is fading away, he's able to take him down, and now we're back into an even fight, 3v3. Sixer will give up his position in backhauls, but it might have been worth it to stick around for a couple of extra seconds, as he would have seen these 2 players moving back in. Scream, no, pushing out, kills the 1 player on outside. Now Sixer's gonna get challenged. It would be unwise to continue to pressure this. They'll use the smoke just so they can wrap around a little bit. But Seized actually didn't see that coming. It looked like he was ready for it, but tried to throw out another nade, and as a result, Sixer gets the free peek, takes him down. What a beautiful re-peek from Simple, though, to take back Sixer. And now 2 more kills will give Simple the clutch on this round. Goes for the flick, and he hits it partially through the bomb train, but he can't react quick enough to the Happy rotate. So Happy will still win it out for EnVyUs.
Damn, dude. That was insane. That was a sick flick, man. And yeah, I mean, you just want him to win the round, just because, regardless of who he is, just because he, is about to put together a sick 1v3. But we saw actually indecisiveness cost Seize his life there, as he threw the Molotov on his way up, but then took a step back, and then because of that, Sixer timed his peak so that he was out in the open. When if he just had committed to it, would have been able to get behind cover most likely. So again, you've got to commit to stuff, especially when you are in a situation where you're like running forward, like halfway through B in particular. That indecisiveness will bite you. But RPK in a situation where he's just crack spotting, they're able to bait a smoke off that. It's a game that both teams understand what's going on when they play it, but it does leave the terrorists in kind of a stalemate. They have to respect it, usually. And unfortunately for Envy, they have an op to support here, as it looks like it's going to be a full B hit.
Na'Vi now going to have to try and force their way back in. They still have the full buy going for themselves, obviously. RPK this time playing behind Spindles, gets 1 and 2 kills before we're going down to Flamey, and it's Happy again, in with the op this time as he picks up the 3rd kill. Massive damage done to Na'Vi, but Simple responding in kind, finds, I believe, through the smoke. XMS takes him down, but Happy's still here, ready to fight. And Simple, oh my goodness, wasn't helping his case by taking the Molly damage, but he pushes through and finds Happy. Finally gets rid of that itch and the pain. Takes him down, leaves this into a 1v2 now. Would be another massive clutch potential from Simple. He seems to have a general idea as to where those players are going to be positioned as he tosses the Molly into the back. He also needs to try and find an opportunity to get this bomb on the ground. Fakes it. Just a bit of a check to make sure there's nobody flanking him right now. Sees the player up on top of the orange train right outside of Z. Oh, and now he's going to try to challenge it directly, and he takes down Sixer. Oh, and he just missed the chance to find the 2nd player too, as he goes back around the backside in CT. Scream's gonna wrap away from this one. Where's he going, though, is the question. Looks like heading over to Z right now.
Damn, he had Simple kind of falling asleep, or he had Sixer falling asleep at the wheel there. Should have been an easy frag. Didn't expect him to go for that peak. Oh, and he's falling back to like prime after plant territory. He's got a nade and 2 flashes. He's down to half HP. Scream's got to kind of do the damage on the shoulder peak here, as Simple's not going to give him like an opening to straight up attack him until he defuses that bomb. And Scream doesn't have a kit either, and he's got to aggress all the way to the back of the site.
So slow, too, with the way Scream's going into the site right now. He's just shift-walking all the way up to the bomb train. He's going to have to speed it up now, and I think Simple, he's going to hear this one. He's going to go back in, look for the final kill, and there it is, Simple. He missed it on the last round, but this time, a massive 1v4 clutch to keep Na'Vi in the lead.
Damn, he must have had Sixer shaking in his boots, dude. That was insane. Sixer, the only thing that he was watching was that corner. Everything else he was protected from. He just wanted to wait for the plan, if anything. And even on that, like, Simple comes right into his angle. He's got to be salty about that. Tough stuff. And yeah, from the 1v1, it's just way too hard to win with no utility. Envy back on a save. Simple is feeling smart right now.
Zeus finally going to make his mark here too. XMS will be there for a trade, though, as him and I believe Sixer push back hauls, or excuse me, him and RPK push back hauls. They're able to get a 1 kill there. It's a very small victory, though, as Na'Vi is kind of flooding out and taking outside control as they went for that play. As the easy call out went from Edward there, that they pushed so many players to that backside, so now they're going to take outside control. RPK tries to go in through ladder to trade, and those last 2 there just line right up for Seized. Easy kills for him as Na'Vi claim their 8th.
So we finally are rounding out the half. Na'Vi, you're taking a lead. We're starting to look at the score line at the top when we see that they actually have, 8 rounds, which is really good. But EnVy surprisingly actually have 6, even though it seems like Na'Vi have been in control for the last part of this half. So overall, it's going to be a new half that they can look forward to. EnVy, as I'm kind of writing them off, have a bye that's not great, 4 CZs. And they've done it before, but it seems like Na'Vi are done throwing away rounds. So that's pretty good. And they also are riding off the momentum of that last clutch, even though in the mid-round, EnVy were doing so much better. Coming back up ladder, though.
Given a lot of room. They're not watching for him at all. Goes in, gets the first kill, sees the player. Okay. A little dink to say goodbye as his opponent runs down the ladder itself. Well, it's nothing to do with that fight. Just get out of there, get into the clearance zone, and that's going to be outside 1A. EnVyUs still have a +1 man advantage. Unfortunately, with the guns they're working with, it's still going to make it very hard just to retake this site. Even Scream trying to just get up to ticket, but still behind the safety of a T-Smoke. Going to take a little bit of damage from the Molly there. It also holds RPK back for a couple of seconds, but the Molly won't last for very long. They'll boost it. I think they're... Oh, yeah, they're watching for it. So C's is going to take him down. XMS out, and he'll quickly get taken down by Flamey as well. And it just seems like, again, a few trades here and there for EnVyUs. But besides that, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. Hold on now. Happy moving up. He's going to find this kill to take down Simple, leaving this all on Edward. But Edward also took down one of the few remaining players here. Happy knows where Edward's at, though. Has full confidence that he's sitting inside, at least up until that point, that he's sitting inside a ladder room, so thinks he's there. Throws a smoke onto the ground. Edward does go for the kill. Happy tried to bait it, but Edward does still catch on to it. So with that said, Na'Vi push ahead, finally gaining a control of this lead after a very back and forth half. They lead 9-6. We'll see if they can keep it going right to this, folks. Stick with us in the second half between EnVyUs and Na'Vi. We'll be right back.
ESL One New York is brought to you in part by Intel, Logitech G, Republic of Gamers, GoDaddy, and StubHub.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. The first half here on Train between EnVyUs and Na'Vi starts off very back and forth. I think it was like the first 5 or 6 rounds before a team actually won more than one round in a row. But finally, Na'Vi gets us going, and they take the lead at the end of the half, 9-6.
Yeah, it was kind of a good bout between both teams, and we saw Na'Vi just get it together towards the end of the first half. And even though the scoreline shows that the half was quite close, I think it feels like Na'Vi are much more confident now that all the dust is settled. So now we move into the second half, 9-6, and Na'Vi are in a pretty prime position getting the CT side here on Train.
We just have to make sure they don't mess up this pistol round and let EnVyUs come right back into the game, as EnVyUs is going to go for a pretty heavy split on their pistol. 3 players to Brownhalls, 1 sitting inside of the T connector, and then 1 more waiting by Ivy. But that player will be happy. However, he's probably not going to fare too well. We'll see though, as Na'Vi did gamble on having 3 players in Ivy themselves. But EnVyUs spotting 1 CT at the bottom of ramp was enough to force them away for the time being and cause some delay before they actually went forward with the execute down ramp. So it's very split up again for EnVyUs right now. The same to be said for Na'Vi. But EnVyUs kind of just trying to figure out how they want to play this, as they're taking it very, very slowly in this pistol.
Yeah, it's moving quite slow. You can tell by just how spread out they are. They don't plan on doing anything quite yet. The bomb not in position with the 3 other players ready to split outer, and no pushes for Na'Vi, so it's really going to be just delaying the clock as EnVy figure out what they want to hit. But there it is. The first kill comes out. Ivy control. Ooh, oh, wow. He turns that into another kill with the USB. Almost gets away with his life, too. but that's going to pull the rotates.
Had time to change out the weapon and everything there. As it gets the 2K, and now C's put into a corner inside of the smoke, just spamming away, and what? Scream ends up taking down Sixer in the process there. They got jumbled up, so I guess a trade's a trade at the end of the day. Leaves us into a 3v2. Flamey is trying to sneak through upper here and actually going through without being spotted up until RPK changes. That takes him down. Zeus will get the intel. Trades not. He knows Scream's down below, but Scream just going to take Zeus right out of the air and give it to EnVyUs as they start off with the pistol round here in the second half.
So carefully patient in their default. Happy, obviously, the hero of the round, getting 2 kills at Ivy, and just as you mentioned, being able to not only get his kill with the Glock, but switch out for the USP and then find a headshot and almost survive. It's too much. Once that happens, you're in such a bad spot as CTs that you can't expect to have to win. Now it's 4 MAC-10s for Envy, and I don't know if this is overkill, but you can expect to see some SMG frags this round.
Yeah, and EnVyUs, mind you, did win the pistol in the last half too, but this got traded out by Navi in the second round. So we're going to see if they can accomplish the same feat a second time in a row here and just send us right back into chaos again to start off the second half. Or if things will go a bit more uniform this time. Started off though, it's still slow pace from EnVyUs as they're just going about a default essentially. 3 players heading over there towards the box halls with 1 outside of T-Con and 1 in Ivy. XMS going in, thought he had seen something, and he was right to assume that. Just didn't know for sure if it was the shadow or not. Besides that though, not a whole lot of action being taken across the map. You have the CTs playing in relatively standard positions as well, with Heavy on outside there. And having C's play close up on inner with Simple ready to rotate at a moment's notice.
The defaults are okay. The only worry is when you get too spread out or one player overextends. The benefit for them is they can only drop MAC-10s, which isn't a great weapon for Navi to have. So at best, you know, they win a 1v1 deal, they get some information, they only give up a MAC-10. But if you take too much time, too much chip damage, and Navi have decided to stack a site, that's when it gets ugly. And we see the flash get pulled out just as Zeus tries to mosey his way up the ladder.
So RPK's going to get that kill. Scream moving in. He didn't check this side lane, though, so Flamey, yeah, he ends up missing most of his shots in the season, goes down. But Simple, the jumping kill, I believe, as he takes down Sixer from inside of inside of Z. It's going to only be 1 kill, however, as Simple is now forced to get pushed back. Scream will take him down. And for Seized, he's left alone here. Oh, holds on, though. RPK tries to jump in and quickly get the headshot himself, but Seized will take it. Now just goes scavenging for guns, something at least to use in the next round, as the rest of his team should end up being fully saved. But EnVyUs will pick up their 8th now and be within 1 round of tying this up, which they should be able to get.
I think Seized actually faked the runaway as he ran through Whitehalls and tried to bait them back to T-Con. XMS watching this choke point. He stands at the top of the ladder, which is obviously the best fight of the 2, which is really nice for him. So at least I'll save the MAC-10, the CEZ. That's something. But overall, solid round for... Oh, wow, he actually gets up the kill. Happy just waiting at the bottom of the ladder. Don't know what his thought process was there, but yeah, Happy's not going to come up, so called the bluff. And now it's Navi with just a 1-round lead. Envy also with all those SMGs know that Navi aren't going to try to force again, and that's another economy building rounds. It's really tough to swallow for Navi that they know they're going to have to just give up so much money here, but that's the L's. You got to take some L's sometimes.
Yeah. Well, EnVyUs, again, pretty much the same thing they've done in the last 2 rounds here. Slow playing with 3 heading through Whitehalls into the back of B, and keeping the 2 outside on the Ivy lane. Making sure that no one from Navi successfully pushes out. This time it'll be a lot easier, obviously. You have Simple with the Deagle, but that is it. That's all the guns they have bought into for this round. Happy going to be a little bit careful because he is going up against that Deagle. However, besides that, there's nothing really to worry about. Envy is just playing it carefully in the event that Navi went for a sort of gamble stack or something like that. And Scream has already found 1 inside of that ladder room. Jumps down, takes down Edward. And now they're primed for an engagement towards inner, actually, as they're all still going to go with that plan to head towards that. But Navi's right into this. They've got all 4 players inside. Simple just spotted 1 of them. Unfortunately, he gets punched pretty heavily. RPK having to try and tap away at range. The only negative right now to having all these MAC-10s is getting these kills going to be a little bit tricky. In fact, some of them will just prefer to do it with a pistol. Some trouble finding Zeus there, but RPK stays alive, looking for Simple as the last frag, and he will indeed get it, but not before Simple takes out XMS, so at least doing a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, a tiny bit. They're ultimately going to be upgrading most of these SMGs, but that's an armor rebuy, that's some utility, that's kill reward, so you know, maybe that adds up. We'll see. The half isn't quite over yet, but you can really see at Na'Vi pressing the advantages of their SMGs at the distance, forcing the rotates in late to B, and at the, now that we're at the kind of this turning point, the first rifle round of the second half, the MAC-10 is being held onto by Happy. The flash is outside, I mean, outside control is going to take it fast, and Envy are all out here.
And Flamey holding on first off at E-Box, but it does not trip up EnVyUs. That first kill, Edward will be there for the trade, and now Scream moving in. Oh, he almost loses his life. Simple getting some kills too, but Scream dominating from the back of the site. Takes down two people in the round. Two very crucial kills to make sure that things don't get out of hand for EnVyUs. And leaves just seized alive now in a 1v3 as he flanks through the living room there. He's going to head downstairs. We'll try to pull off a flank, I think, instead of Z, but knows that this probably won't work out. Happy's already sitting inside waiting for this exact flank to happen. So Z's will probably not have the best time with it. Might actually be better to use that flash to try and peek it, but it's just going to go right for it. What do you know? Happy shuts it down.
It's kind of an all-in mentally to do a fast outer hit like to start off the half. If you lose the round, you look really dumb, honestly, because you look like you could have played it slower, more carefully with all of your nade advantages. But if you go in and you start off the round fast, you actually dominate, you feel great, and it's actually demoralizing for the other team who thought, okay, well, this is our first rifle round, let's start this off, and they lose it within 20-30 seconds. So that's really difficult for, I think, Na'Vi right now. They also have to save again, so this is the best way to quick 5-0 start. Envy obviously have a lead now, leading by 1 round, 10-9, and in round 20, there's no armor for Na'Vi, another economy building round for Envy to enjoy.
Good response on the op there. Doesn't necessarily get the full kill just yet, but it does bring him down to 24 HP. They're going to run away from that one for right now. Happy sitting in the corner. Simple knows someone's sitting there, so it takes him a second, but he's able to push forward, get that kill, and a second one as well with the Deagle in hand as he rolls out. That could be another M4 for them. They want to go in and pick that back up, but instead, they're going to have to rotate quickly towards Inner, as this is where the hit is happening. They have no one else left to defend this. Zeus rotating in with his Deagle now. RPK finding a second kill, but it's not long before Simple strikes again. Now armed with the M4 himself. He's already got 3 kills. Look for the ace on this round. They know he's sitting behind this first orange train, but XMS is going to look to get the better of him. He pushes through. He's not realized that XMS is standing right behind him. So he'll get the free kill to take him out, and Edward won't be far behind. EnVyUs struggling a little bit there, but they do indeed close out.
Yeah, good recovery, and we actually learned right there that Happy had a bad angle, so if he had pushed out just a little bit wider, he might have been able to see Simple in that corner, whereas right there was no way for Sixer, who was kind of supposed to be his support, to help him. So needed to not be so depressed into the angle and show his body, because whatever you're closest to, it's going to be easier for the person who's farther away from that box to see you first. Now we move into a rifle round. Finally, another rifle round after 6 rounds in a row, and great flashes outside, but they haven't actually used it to aggress A. Though, cover number 4 man. Oh, wow. Very nice spray from RPK.
Just walks right up and gets 2 quick kills there. And I believe it is 1 or 2 of the op getting dropped too, but C's has to hold on. He gets the quick shot himself, but it's not long before it's traded again. Sixer this time stepping up. Envy is still with a +1 lead in their man count here. And not only that, but Happy has the outside flank as well. They will have to be a little bit careful of Zeus lurking back in. Edward did take care of Happy, so it's even again here now. And this is a little bit dangerous for EnVyUs because they do have Zeus coming in on that flank, and they're not watching for it at all right now. He's going to walk in. The first kill is for free, and the second one is too. There you go. Na'Vi will close out, and they somehow win this round.
Yeah, that's almost value of the silence M4. It can be a little bit harder to hear, a little bit harder to adjust immediately. I think they should have still because of how many bullets he used, but either way, Zeus played his position perfectly on that flank and got those 2 kills despite RPK starting the round out 5v3 because he got all the way through hell into a spot that gives you the same effect as almost coming out Ivy, which is like it makes it very difficult to stand in the positions that they were, and they had no idea that he had gotten out that far. So the great flashes only to assist 1 player, but that player ended up being a very key point in the round.
So it seems like we may be in front of their back and forth half, depending on the way this next round goes here. EnVyUs still have a decent opportunity to try and shut down Na'Vi's economy again, because they only survive with those 2 ops in check. The other 3 players do have to go for a full rebuy. But with Zeus starting off on this initial kill, it's not going to help their case. XMS stuck behind a smoke too, so he cannot push forward and look for the immediate refrag onto Edward to try and get Ivy control. We You do see, however, the other players pushing towards inner. This is going to be a fake, but it seems like they're biting on this completely despite getting that kill. Happy quickly falls away. They know they need the full force of their push to take outside control. But regardless, Navi's realized what's happening. For the most part, they've started to rotate their players back up or just hold them close to Z in the event they need that rotate, which they're going to need now. So Zeus will move back in, and it's all up to these two as they move in. Edward? What?
Oh.
Oh, and that's the bomb, too. That's the worst part. Edward just hides in the corner, gets himself the free pickup. They get a second kill against Happy as he comes in from the other side. Sixers left alone. Not a whole lot he can do. Gets the kill on Edward at least, but they're just going to push him. They know he's low on ammo, and Simple will shut it down with an op shot.
That's definitely a situation where you think XMS has no idea he has the bomb because he was like straight irresponsible with that, jumping through the smoke. No one to come with him. It didn't look like it was going to be a B hit through CT, so he wouldn't need to be leading in that situation. And yeah, again, just doing it alone. So that's a kind of a big misstep on a very important round. And Navi, you're going to take that. It's Envy taking a tactical pause here to kind of maybe talk about what happened that round, especially if things get heated. Sometimes just want to ice the kicker, as the Bears always says, and use that time to talk amongst yourselves, sort out any disputes. And they have, I want to say, some options. They've won 2 rifle rounds already, and it's kind of. It must be worrying for them, though, considering how later in the first half, Envy were able to solidify their attacks and become like a lot more confident in their hits. Here, they seem to be adapting just as well.
So that leaves Navi in an advantage position now, especially if they can get back their lead and keep it going strong. To start off this round, it looks like Envy is actually probably going to throw a decent amount of utility towards inner, trying to stack up here to counter out the aggression we were seeing from Navi in the last round at the edge of Ivy. And you can see that being reignited again with the smoke being thrown at Edward, looking for his opportunity to get in the position behind the green dumpsters there, and then obviously fight these guys out a few seconds later. XMS. Well, he pushes that. It's almost certain that he's going to die. They also lost RPK a moment ago, too. And now, actually, the flash response is good, but they weren't expecting Edward to swing out here and have the second guy outside pushed aggressively from Ivy. So, at the moment, it's just become a shutdown for Navi here. No response kills at all being traded by EnVyUs. All 5 players from Navi alive still as a result of that. Scream with a bomb in hand. Not so sure about testing the edge of Ivy anymore, especially with the re-smoke just coming in. They really want this Ivy control, but it's just not going to happen with how much focus Navi are putting on it.
So I think they see an opportunity for kills where Navi have kind of not overextended, but planned like some aggressive map control, and they think, okay, well, if they're just behind the smoke, they're pretty close to us. Why don't we focus our attention here? Because, well, probably the round will be won and lost here in that, well, we're on a low buy, but if we get these 2 kills, then we're in a great position, and if we don't, well, it was probably the best chance for us to get those opening frags, considering how hard it is to get opening frags on train as a terrorist. So now that that's not worked, Navi are going to be quite happy. They played Ivy really well. Good smokes, perfect time for re-smokes, spray through the smokes, everything to keep everything as safe as possible for them, for their players that they kept recycling at Ivy. So now Navi take a lead once again. And here I think we have like Edward spamming through the smoke, kind of doing damage to both players as well. Envy on another buy-up, and that last round, I think for them is just a write-off. They didn't have a lot to spend on it. They probably used that pause to talk about now, and we'll see what they were talking about.
Team Ace also coming out from Navi on the last round there too, so everybody getting a piece of the pie. And now we just see if EnVyUs can reignite with a better strat this time, as it does seem like they've kind of been found out. I mean, just look at this right here. Oh, actually, RPK holds on. Is expecting Flamey to be peeked out down at the bottom of the ramp, makes it a 1-for-1 trade at least. But this could change very soon. Still a lot of conflicts to see come to life. As Navi look to defend the outer bomb site. Simple finds the one player still alive at inner, takes him down. Scream will trade. Sixer trying to kind of sleuth around this site. Oh, okay. Happy with the swing. Not Simple as well. They're quick on the trade. Brings us down to a 2v1. They know where Sixer's at. He's been trying to lurk and line up this massive play the entire round, but it's not going to happen. As Simple once again hits another great flick. Propel Navi into the lead once more. Something similar to we saw like the first rifle round of the half where Envy decided to take outer quickly. They wanted to go, I think, go back to that pace, and that's kind of what worked for them best. They also waited long enough that something like that is maybe off the minds of Navi, but it seemed like they were pretty well equipped to deal with it. The split ended up working out all right. I think the trades could have gone a little bit better outside. You can't really put that to the strategy so much as just like your individual stepping up. So overall, not so bad, but really bad for Envy because without that round, they need a new strategy and they can't even do what's worked in the past now. They've just shown themselves. Well, EnVy are pretty much just going to go for a straightforward hit to the back calls this time. Sees with a flick, knows they're probably going to shuffle down ramp, so nicely done. Looking a headshot there, but apparently ends up being a body shot against XMS. The cavalry has arrived, and it's just in time too, as Simple picks another player out of the air. They're still going to force this plant. Actually, no, they push through at the final second and deny it. Zeus throws his life away in order to do that, but it does stop them from getting the extra cash on the plant. Incredibly
well played by Seized in that situation. First of all, everybody jumping on EnVyUs is not working very well versus these ops. They're hitting these shots no problem. Perfect time. Molotov, XMS thought he could capitalize there, and then ends up even getting the last 2 kills after playing the smoke that his opponents threw. So good stuff. And now we're in a situation where EnVy have 1 or 2 maybe buys up left, where they've got to put it all on the table here. It's coming to the end of the match, end of the first map, and obviously we know what a 1-0 start can do for you. So just kicking it off with IV Control are EnVyUs. This isn't necessarily telling of what they're going to do later, but it can be a good way for Tees to open up the round, bait a lot of utility, do some damage early on, and potentially use it as a threat for their execute in the future. Well, Edward and Simple once again playing the 2-man team over here by Ivy, trying to defend it. And it's a good thing they have that 2-man team set up here, but however, Simple looks like he's moving away to play towards Z again. Something he's been doing in the past rounds. That could prove dangerous. He's still nearby, though, if he needs to assist Edward at any means. And that's definitely going to be the case with EnVyUs finally changing up their formula a little bit here. 3 players are going to work their way into Ivy. 2 hold up on top of the ladder, probably going to be jumping down to commit to inner in just a few moments here now. As they've smoked off the alternate side. The bomb is with the Ivy push here too, and they're going to move out, but they go right into that molly, it seems. Zeus gets an easy first kill on XMS. Another molly, this time from the Tees, will put Edward into the corner. He's trying to watch out, make sure there's no push coming out from T-Con, but he looks away, and that's a big mistake, because now it's opened up this whole opportunity for so many kills. It's a lot of EnVyUs to even the score back up, but Seized holds on. A quick up shot to the head of Scream takes him down, and again puts 1 man on EnVyUs up into the clutch point. Not going to happen. Seized again shutting this down with the op in hand, and Na'Vi go up now to map point. Gotta say, it's really cool to see Seized playing well again. We know that him being a leader took a huge hit out of his performance, and he's really just hitting shots right now. I mean, these are top headshots, super fast reactions, multi-kills in each round, holding inner and outer on the retake. So overall, nice to see him back in form, doing extremely well. And now this could be the last round of the game. EnVy are on a broken by Value Village. Throw together whatever they could find. That's a combination of rifles, pistols, and SMGs. And RPK sees an opponent. Oh, maybe he won't expect Simple to be crouched behind this smoke. Little did he know he had an opportunity to find a kill there. Why is Simple crouched there with a CZ? You have to wonder. RPK does back away from it though, and it becomes another straightforward adder hit from EnVyUs. They're just going to throw themselves to the side, see if they can make it work. They do that kind of half smoke strat too, where they're going to try to force the plant, it seems, but it's not working. 3 quick kills for Na'Vi, just 2 remain. XMS getting 1 more for his team, and so does Scream. He brings it down to a 1v2 at the very least. Starts to check for the flank from Simple too, and he's right to do that. Simple almost committed to it a second ago, but instead he's going to play the patient game. Sit up on top of the ladder, see if Scream tries to fall back and route himself towards the inner bomb site. But just when it seemed like Scream may have been able to get something going, Edward completes the flank through short lane, closes out on the round, and gives the first map to Na'Vi as they take control 16-11. And with that, they're going to be able to get this nice early start to this best-of-3 series. They go up with a 1-0 lead. Yeah, I'm surprised to see that EnVy are looking somewhat confident. At least they're getting rounds versus good teams, but Na'Vi really did have a stranglehold, I think, on the game, and were playing fairly confidently themselves. And again, it's just really good to see Seized and Simple playing really well. Yeah, especially Seized towards the very end. They're doing so much work with the op. They're 3K in the second to last round with some really good stuff from him. So we're not the only ones here, of course. We are going to send it over to our analysts now and let them break down this first map on Train. Guys,
that's us. Looking at it, Na'Vi, I don't want to say this, but definitely some op usage there by Simple, even Seized later in the half. We're seeing a pretty good-looking Na'Vi right now, no?
Yeah, it was kind of reminiscent of the old Na'Vi before Zeus got kicked, right? Seized was actually prolific on the op back then. He was actually probably my second favorite player on the squad back when he used to op all the time, and he didn't have the, the manacles of the IGL holding him back. So I think that was one big point in the game, and obviously Simple hitting flicks is kind of normalcy at this point.
Well, we do have round 12 loaded up, which is going to be more so catered to the EnVyUs side of things. Let's take a look at this round, guys.
Yeah, I like this one because you remember I talked in the pregame about getting aggressive. Even though the initial trade doesn't happen well, I don't think they had the proper anti-flash setup there. They have essentially 4 people towards inside right now. Happy then makes another play I like. He goes through, they're in a 3 versus 4, they're down. He says, you know what? there might be a guy here. If I can even it up, give my team a chance to win the round. He gets the kill and brings him back into this. The thing that I like about this is I think on most of these rounds, Na'Vi, like I said, they favor the slow play. And if you could throw a wrench into their gears like there, I think that really throws them off. One thing I think, though, is that they did it a little bit too late. So I think if they would have brought that in sooner.
Yeah, it's kind of like obvious, right? It's like, all right, we've been beating EnVyUs with their default hold. Now they're going to try and probably do something, so we're going to be ready.
So it was good. Maybe a little too late in the game, though, Trace.
Well, a man that was certainly ready most of the entirety of this game would be Simple. We're going to load up round number 13 now and look at a 4K.
Oh, this is disgusting.
Well, he pushed team mid early, I know, and they didn't get any kills. He comes towards the inside bomb site here and just hits all the shots.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking last night, just casually over dinner. Is like, you know, when a terrorist gets 2 kills, you know, and he has an op and he's just waiting for that third guy to peek, you know he's gonna hit it. Like
right now,
regardless of the shot, it's gonna get hit.
You have an advantage as a CT, but at the same time, there's, you know, ambiguity to the positioning of Simple. You don't know where he's really coming from, and he can fake. He can go back down ladder. At a certain point, they would have had to rotate Z, which maybe would have been what happened right there. Is, hey, he could have fall back lower. So they go double check it. He didn't. He gets the kill. So right there is tough. You know, maybe Envy could have just stuck together and hid and then went for the retake. Same lane. You hold hands, essentially, is what we call it sometimes. And, you know, Simple plays it smart, uses the op to his advantage. And
it's kind of like in that scenario when he's that far away. Also, it's you know, when somebody has an op, you sometimes want to double swing, right? Because then, but he's so far away that he can just re-hide, right? You can't. The double swing isn't as viable. So it's just a hard situation.
It's almost like you do have to essentially turtle, and the only time you peek is if you know it's an open field and he can't fall back to cover. So comes down to the 1 versus 1. He hears a guy down the site. Common play here, just to peek as the guy's running towards the defuse, because you know he's probably looking at the bomb. So that was kind of the theme of the first half there. And
well, I mean, a lot of weight on Simple's shoulders at this point. I mean, we do know that he has this explosive capability, and then we do see it at times. We do see it when seemingly Na'Vi needs it. And as the story unfolds, he's able to bring a lot to the table in this matchup.
Yeah, it seems like he's filled the shoes of Guardian quite well, right? Like, obviously he's a different player. He has a little bit of a different style.
They're not basing everything around him getting op picks necessarily. But that's like,
you know, the op role is well fulfilled to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Well, we do have round 21 now as we look at the EnVyUs side of things. James, I believe this is you.
Yeah, so I think this round was a really interesting approach by EnVy. So we see a T running all the way down hell into quad. You can see him on the radar there. You can see how he's kind of near Ivy. He gets 2 kills right here, right? And immediately the guys run towards inner. So this is something that EnVy is actually really good at on their T side. Is as soon as a call is made, is like push inner, right? You hear that probably on the comms.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing it 100%. People aren't going to be zigzagging left and right trying to bait each other. They're holding straight W. They're just going to get that trade on inner, right? Seized hits a 6 shot and plays it pretty well, but they're just all there.
Yeah, great play. And I think that speed is what I said was the focus rate on T side. On CT side, they maybe needed to get more aggressive, but on T side there, a lot of times people say, why are you rushing, why are you playing so fast? Because that can look really bad, right? If they just kill the hell guy, and then they go in there and seize off the guy and gets away, it looks like a terrible strat. But a lot of times you're playing against the expectations of your opponent, and you saw right there how it caught him off guard.
We did note EnVyUs lacking that sort of aggression, so to say. Now, we're going to be going into Cobble. Is this a problem that we could see carry over, or do we think that they have it maybe more put together?
I don't know. You want to answer that first? Because I have a thought.
I'm hoping that they kind of see what we saw watching them play Cobble against SK, right? We saw them kind of be a little bit too antsy to get into their default, right? I think they could have used a little bit more patience. We've seen EnVy having really patient defaults in the past on Cobble, so I hope they can kind of get back to their basics.
I think drop room, just like it is in many matches, is going to be the main focal point of this game. On Navi's T side, they like to sometimes get people down drop with the op. They've done it since Guardian. I'm assuming they'll still do that. But yeah, like you said, for EnVyUs on T side, establishing their default, let's look for them to maybe take drop and B plat control before taking A Hall. We don't need A Hall that early in the round as they were versus SK, and that's not going to help them versus Navi because Navi's
Simple's going to be there.
Yeah, there's another brick wall CT side team that you need to kind of pull and make those kind of jump plays. Pull the A hit, get down, drop quick. Fake to B plat, exec, walk through mid, and then be able to teeter-totter. Because if you're playing EnVy straight up, probably going to run into a wall.
Well, the first map of this best of 3 is in the books. Na'Vi picking it up. We're going to be going into a second map, which is Cobble, when we come back from the break. And here at ESL One, New York 2017.